Hello and welcome to Working Crass Podcast. That's Lauren.
Hello.
And I'm Joshua. Hello. And we got a special Thanksgiving episode of Working Crass Podcast. Now, what is this podcast? What do we do on this podcast? We ask important questions like, who are we? What's that smell?
And what are we thankful for?
And what are we thankful for?
Those are the three questions.
Who are we? What's that smell? And what are we thankful for? What are you thankful for this year?
I'm thankful for inflation.
Yeah? Can you give a serious, a sweet answer? Because I think we're about to go real sarcastic in this episode already. We're already sarcastic. Here's the thing, Lauren, is people don't want sarcasm on their podcast. They want to know where you stand. If someone listens to your podcast and they go, I can't tell, are they left or are they right? They need to know where you stand.
Well,
so
I'll tell them where I stand.
Yeah, tell them where you stand right now.
Tell
Politically, where do you
I'll
land?
tell them exactly where I land, and I land on the side of inflation. And I believe that paying more money for things is a good thing. I'm giving my money back into our economy.
Inflation
and
is
that's a great thing.
Inflation is a sign that your country is doing well.
Yeah.
It's everything's more expensive because everyone has more money.
And everybody's winning.
Everyone's winning.
That's what it means. We're
We're sick of winning. We're all going to win so hard that you'll all be sick of winning. That was the funniest Trump line ever. We're going to win so hard you're all going to be so sick of winning. That's so funny. There's so many people that were like, that sounds great. Hell yeah. I'm thankful for our 2 cats and for my lovely wife.
Aww.
Yeah, isn't that nice? See?
So sweet.
Yeah. Well, I'm just a serious guy. I'm just not sarcastic. I want them to know where I land. And where I land politically is just a sweet guy.
Where he lands politically is his wife.
Whatever my wife says, I am.
I love my wife.
I love my wife. There
are people who are politically, I love my wife.
Yeah, there definitely. I am whatever my wife says.
I am whatever my wife tells me I am.
I am whatever shuts the bitch up. Oh, man. Well, we have a very fun episode for you today. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. This is the week where you get to reunite with your family members and argue and bitch and whine.
And if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, then happy just another week out of the year.
What good reason would you have not to celebrate Thanksgiving? If you're in America, if you're in the greatest fucking country in the world.
Well, what if they're not listening from America? What if they're an international listener?
We do have some international listeners. And that's a good question for our international listeners. Why the fuck don't you celebrate Thanksgiving? Why aren't you thankful for our country?
Yeah, why aren't you thankful for America? Explain in the comments below.
Yeah. Well, if you do celebrate Thanksgiving, we wanted to read this beautiful Time magazine article here. How to have fun with that relative whose opinions you can't stand this Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like that this is a good-spirited, article here. It's, about how to bridge those divides with your family. And if we start to go into a sarcastic tone in this, well, just know that it's sarcasm. But we might also say exactly how we feel. And that's for you, the listener, to determine what do we really mean and how do we actually feel. You might at some points feel confused. You might go, I just can't tell where they land. And that's because you're stupid. It should be obvious. It should be totally obvious. As Americans prepare to host Thanksgiving dinners and other holiday meals, much attention is paid to the food served, the table setting, and the guest list. But is anyone setting the table for good conversation? This year, you can. If you had the choice, which of these 2 menus would you rather serve? Menu A, fight for truth and virtue, with an appetizer of identifying people with bad beliefs. Main course, prove those people wrong. And dessert, change their thinking so that they share your good beliefs. So far, I'm with menu A.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty.
Pretty tasty menu right there.
Pretty tasty.
Now, menu B is have fun. Okay, your appetizer isn't to improve relationships among everyone around the table. Your main course is to make the meal enjoyable and memorable. And your dessert is to make yourself smarter. Sounds a little gay to me. I prefer menu option A, where we all fight and one of us gets claimed the winner.
I agree.
I like to be the winner of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Now, I get what this article is trying to do, right? They're trying to say, hey, would you rather, disagree and, have a terrible Thanksgiving where everybody's arguing and
Yeah.
you're all, divided along these political lines?
You're fighting your family members. You're getting into arguments all night long.
Or would you rather find some fucking common ground and for once and for all, like, find ways to unite as opposed to divide?
Bury the hatchet, find some shared agreement, and just, like, not take things so seriously. Just enjoy a good table full of food.
And, of course, we all know the answer, and we all agree. It's fight. It's fight.
Fight!
We want to fight! We want to fight! We want to fight!
And write down a list of the dissidents at your Thanksgiving dinner table.
This Thanksgiving, it's about sending your dad to jail. This Thanksgiving, it's about holding your mama accountable.
It's about sending your brothers and sisters straight to the gulags where they belong.
It's about looking at your cousin that you've been best friends with forever and saying, you're going to the chokey.
I've long said that holidays are for signaling your virtue and sending your loved ones to the chokey.
Oh, that long tradition, that long family tradition of sending your loved ones to the chokey. A recent survey by researchers at the University of Virginia found that 52% of Trump voters and 41% of Biden voters said that they would favor blue and red states seceding from the Union to form their own separate country.
A great conversation starter for your Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes, they literally backed secession. So, yeah, I mean, I think that is a great conversation starter. Like, hey, Dad, what state would you live in? And I'd go to war with you.
Well, for us, it'd be like, hey, guys, Texas, should we be our own country? And then everybody goes, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, Thanksgiving over.
I thought we were our own country.
Shut up, Grandma. You're going to the chokey. So the writers of this article, one of which is Jonathan Haidt, who we really like, it says, we were so alarmed by what we saw in 2016 that we created Open Mind, a psychology-based educational tool that helps people communicate constructively across differences. Since then, Open Mind has been used by more than 50,000 Americans in classrooms, workplaces, and communities across the country. Research shows that our tools cause a reduction in animosity, thereby improving conversations. Now, does reducing animosity really improve conversations?
Oh, absolutely not. You want to increase the animosity.
I want my conversations to have the highest level of animosity.
I want my conversations to have the highest degree of tension possible.
I go into every conversation with a book of matches so I can burn my bridges.
Yeah, I come with a Molotov cocktail just in case I feel the need to throw it at someone.
I come with a brick in case there's gonna be a riot.
I walk in and I go, why isn't there a riot happening?
I bring a plate of mashed potatoes to Thanksgiving and a pair of boots for the race riot. Oh, man. Who wants to cut the turkey for the race war?
But it does say something about the time that we're living in, that we have to write articles about how, hey, everybody, here's how we can have a conversation where we're actually calm.
Oh, yeah.
Like
this does.
You have to learn a list of how-tos to have productive conversation with your own family members.
Especially for Time magazine, which is supposed to be of the time. It's supposed to be what we're going through right now.
The cultural zeitgeist is captured in Time.
Exactly.
And our cultural zeitgeist right now is everybody hates each other. Nobody knows how to talk to each other anymore. So I guess we're going to have to teach each other how to just, chillax.
Yeah, definitely. It's like elementary school all over again. We have to start from the beginning. Now, let's learn how to talk to each other respectfully.
And it's just a kid trying to slap somebody else. No.
No.
We don't hit. We don't hit.
First, you want to use I feel statements. I kind of remember those I statements. There's like, I feel this way because you said this and it made me feel this way. Do you
Well,
remember I statements?
Yeah, I do.
And those were like constructive ways to, but of course, the response is, well, I think that's stupid. I think you're
No,
retarded.
you have
Sorry.
You have to say I feel.
Oh, that's right. I feel like you're retarded. I feel like your opinion's wrong.
I feel like you should be sent to a gulag.
I feel like I'm the one in the conversation with the keys to the chokey, and I feel like you're going in it. I just feel like throwing you in the chokey. To prepare for yet another holiday season in our divided country, we've distilled insights from behavioral science and conflict resolution to help you navigate challenging conversations. While you might want to avoid talking about abortion or the latest political conspiracy theory at the table, you should not have to avoid politics and controversy altogether. First step is preparation. Take winning off the table. Boo.
Yeah. That sucks.
That sucks.
That sucks.
That's lame.
That sounds like it's written by a loser.
Sounds like it's written by someone who doesn't win a lot, like us. That's the thing. I'm not going to take winning off the table because then that means I can't win. If you wanted to serve menu A, which we do, you could put a scoreboard in the center of the table so that guests could keep track of who delivered the best zingers throughout the meal. Great idea.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
The top zingers. Grandma got 4 points. It was 4-1 with Grandma. But if you want to serve menu B, you might need to take winning off the table. When we focus on winning an argument, we lose sight of the larger picture. As Ben Franklin noted, if you argue and rankle and contradict, you may achieve a temporary victory sometimes, but it will be an empty victory because you will never get your opponent's goodwill. Once you let go of winning, you'll find that the stress of a disagreement melts away. You can shift your goal for the conversation from winning to understanding. I mean, that's good advice.
I think that's great
outside
advice.
of my sarcasm here. That's good advice.
Yeah. In honesty, it's excellent advice.
No, don't tell them when we're being honest and when we're being sarcastic. They need to figure that out for themselves. The audience needs to figure out when we're being honest and when we're being sarcastic.
Oh, I'm sorry. In dishonesty.
We're trying to throw them. Now, here's what I actually don't mean.
But I do think we should bring the word rankle back.
Now, there's something we can fight about. Rankle, good or bad? Go!
Grandma, you got 2 minutes on the clock.
How do you feel about rankle? I have rankles.
My socks don't cover my rankles, and my feet are cold.
I have so many rankles on my face and my arms. As you sit down to start the meal, take a moment to establish a collaborative goal for the conversation. A collaborative goal is one that both parties would be happy to sign up for. See, I mean, this would be, I would be like, okay, here's my collaborative goal. We all eat dinner.
You know that's what would happen.
Yeah. How about we all just eat dinner? Nope. All right, here's my collaborative goal for our Thanksgiving dinner. Trump wins the next election. Here's my collaborative goal for everyone. We all admit that Trump won the last election. So dumb. Here's my collaborative goal. You all deem me the winner? Now, if a difficult topic arises and you're unable to identify a collaborative goal, it's best to redirect the conversation. Try saying something like, I'm not sure if I'm up for this conversation right now. Maybe we could come back to it another time soon.
Yeah, if you have to take your family through couples therapy to get through Thanksgiving dinner, it's a sign that we're not at a good place in our culture. Right?
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
Definitely. Oh, man. I'm so pissed off about Elliot Page. And you're like, I'm not sure if I'm up for this conversation right now. Maybe we could come back to Elliot Page at another time soon.
Except you and I, we hear something like that, and
Yeah.
we'd be like, yeah, tell us why you're pissed off.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we just think it's funny to, like,
Mhm.
how far can we take this?
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite thing is
How hard can we poke the bear?
here's the Josh and Lauren Thanksgiving advice here. This is what we do at these dinners, okay? If a hot topic arises, you just poke the bear. Just
You
continue.
fan those flames.
Fan those flames. Get things. Say, find out who's going to say the most crazy thing and get them talking.
And see if you can get somebody to one-up their craziness.
If you know for a fact your uncle is going to probably say something incredibly racist, ask him, hey, uncle, what do you think about this? It's fun. It's fun.
And then record it and send it to his boss and get him fired from his job. It's fun.
We did at the last Christmas that we went to at my family's place. My mom will do like different dishes for Christmas, right? So she'll do like an Italian Christmas or like Mexican
different
Christmas.
themed cuisine.
Yeah, and so we come up with this joke. We're like, what if we do Black Christmas next year? And my mom goes, well, let's go around the table and say what we would bring to Black Christmas.
And your brother and his wife just look horrified.
Oh yeah, like a few people were like, this isn't where we should go, and you and I are like, collard greens. We're like, yeah.
Let's lean into this.
Uncle Ben's rice, yeah.
Zada Rams.
Oh man. If you're able to establish a collaborative goal, it should become your centerpiece for the remainder of the discussion. Before each time you speak, remind yourself of your goal and intentionally make choices that advance the conversation in pursuit of your objective. My objective, winning. If the conversation starts to go in a direction where I'm not winning, I need to direct it back in the direction where I'm going to be claimed the winner. Now, the appetizer. Get curious. Now that your mental table is properly set, you're ready to respond to if a difficult topic arises. The best way to begin a difficult conversation is to get curious about what's driving other people's views. This is not the time to make judgments. It's the time to ask more questions in order to identify the values and life experiences behind those views. That's, again, really good advice because, a lot of times you hear somebody's view and it's not what not what you agree with, and you immediately go with like homophobic, racist, sexist, transphobic. You're immediately labeling it as something that is, should be shut down because it's hate. Your opinion is hate, but we rarely dig a little deeper to find out where these ideas come from and dig a little deeper to know like why this person feels that way. And usually when you dig deeper, you realize that it actually isn't coming from a place of hate. Sometimes it's coming from a place of misunderstanding. Sometimes it's coming from a place of ignorance. And sometimes it's coming from a place of truth. Hey, sometimes what they're saying is just plain out right. Especially when it's about the Jews.
Well, this podcast is getting hidden.
No, it's not.
It's getting scrubbed from the internet.
It won't get scrubbed from the internet because you're Jewish, and you can say that everything I said is correct. Can't you?
I mean, I can make a few phone calls on your behalf, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Can't you just like wave your hands and go shalom and it's all everything I say is okay? Aren't I? Because I'm married into a Jewish.
I spin a dreidel 3 times. A genie appears. I tell the genie.
Oh, what's the genie's name that comes out of a dreidel? Moisha? It's me, Moisha. You get 3 wishes. They're going to cost you $15 each. Oh, man. And one of your wishes comes in the form of an investment account.
They just open a Roth IRA for you.
Your third wish is always a Roth IRA opened in your name. Congratulations. One day that'll be worth a pretty penny. Now, the main course, tell a personal story. Once you've learned the other person's perspective, you're ready to share your own view. The way you approach this is critical. When we encounter a view we disagree with, a common impulse is to attack head on with facts. But research shows that directly challenging people's convictions often backfires. Our deeply held beliefs are usually wrapped up with our core identities. And when our identities are challenged, people feel threatened and become resistant or even hostile. If facts alone won't work, what will? The most effective way for you to be heard is by telling a personal story. Sharing stories can trigger empathy in your listener. By appealing to the other person's emotions and intuitions, that person is more likely to resonate with you. While they may not agree with you, they'll be more likely to listen to you and acknowledge that your views at least have some validity. Again, really, really good advice, because you don't want to. It's hard because you can say you're on the side of facts, but you could also just be quoting some study that is, I don't know what I'm saying. Some people quote studies that are there's studies that exist to disprove just about anything. Like, there's studies for everything. There's always studies to back up what you think, especially when it comes to issues around identity. There's so many studies to back up whatever you think on either side of an argument. And a lot of studies are bullshit. A lot of studies are just complete horseshit that as well as anybody else that, coming from academia, how many studies get approved just based on their political ideology and where it's coming from versus the actual truth of the study, right? And so people will go, oh, the facts are on my side, so these are the facts and you're just wrong. How does it feel to be wrong? Like, that's your argument, is like, oh, well, the facts are on my side, so you can continue being stupid all you want, but I'm actually the one that knows the facts.
But on the flip side of the coin, if you're the person who only relies on anecdotal, evidence where it's all just based off of my lived truth, the thing that I've personally experienced, you're also equally blinding yourself to other possibilities. It seems like you need a healthy balance of both some facts, some anecdotal stories to, help contextualize those facts.
And to help you win.
And to help you win.
Because winning is the most important. Winning is the what? Most important.
And if you are going to share stories, they should be stories about times that you've won.
Well, on Thanksgiving.
Just recount all your Thanksgiving wins. In fact, you should have like a montage clip of all your wins ready to go.
Look, I'm just going to say this. On Thanksgiving, if you're going to tell a story, it needs to be the story of the Native Americans. And how they were how they were killed in mass, how there was a genocide of Native Americans. And that's the only story you should be allowed to tell on Thanksgiving. Just saying. Anybody who doesn't tell the story of the Native Americans should be put in the chokey. Anyway. Dessert, propose a learning trade. For the final course, you'll want your guests to leave with a sweet taste in their mouths. If there was anyone you had a clear disagreement with, ask that person to share a book or reading that influenced their perspective. Take the time to actually read what they share and follow up by telling them at least one thing you learned. Chances are they'll be flattered and they might even reciprocate. Those readings are unlikely to change your mind, but they'll make you smarter and more skillful the next time you engage with that person or with anyone who holds those beliefs.
Fam, I gotta say, I really learned something here tonight, and that is that I'm a winner.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I think a lot of this is good advice, although I will say that a little bit of it is too much like, let me take control of the conversation of the whole family. And there's some that can backfire too, right? You don't want to be the person who's like, all right, everyone, let's do what I say. You know what I'm saying? Like, part of part of the family unit coming together is that everybody holds an equal place at the table, right? And I think that there's some good ideas in here for combating bad ideas or ideas that can have a tendency to get heated.
Mhm.
Instead of acting with emotion first, telling personal stories is a great way to do that. Listening and hearing the other person out is a really, really great way to do that. Asking, digging a little deeper into like why they hold that belief before you just start attacking them. These are all good ways to, in the moment, start to combat those ideas that you think are
Mhm.
bad. But I would personally avoid being the person that's like, all right, everyone, let's do what I say,
Yeah, I would add one extra element to this, and
Mhm.
that's add some levity.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
uh, because I think people when they
Well,
get into
not
really
everyone can be Josh and Lauren. Not everyone can be working Crass podcast at the
yeah, but you
table there.
should be.
Not everyone can just sit at the table and go, "What are you bringing to Black Christmas?" You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know,
They can try, but they'll
but they'll
never
never
be.
have as funny a bit as we do. No, I do think that because oftentimes when you get into a really heated conversation with somebody,
Mhm.
we take both like your own argument so seriously, you take the moment so seriously, and
Yeah.
you feel like it's like the now or never kind of thing. And if you don't win, then your identity, your experience, blah blah blah, gets invalidated.
Mhm.
And it's just you need some levity to be able to pull back and go, at the end of the day, we're just sitting around having dinner with the
Mm.
fam.
And
Let's, we can relax.
and not only
Life
that,
will go on.
absolutely. And don't be afraid to laugh at your family members, but don't be afraid to laugh at yourself too. If you misspeak or somebody else corrects you, don't be afraid to just take that with levity. Like laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Be willing to be
Yeah.
wrong.
Mhm.
And be willing to not change somebody's mind over something. It's not all of these issues that we have are not the be all end all issues that you think that they are sometimes.
Yeah.
We're not all going to wake up tomorrow in a fascist dictatorship because your uncle thinks that Elliot Page is still a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, let's move on.
So did
here.
we learn how to win Thanksgiving?
I think we did learn how to win Thanksgiving,
Good.
and that is put all of our dissenters in the choky. That's what we learned. We got a couple fantastic "Am I the Assholes" from Reddit here, and here's one that's just cater made for us. I think. Am I the
Yeah.
asshole for throwing away my coworker's sweater? My coworker, who's 55 and male, has a sweater that he wears every day at work and leaves in the office overnight. He never takes it home to wash, and over the last month, it has developed a distinct smell.
Stinky sweater. So this is the case of the stinky sweater.
The case of the stinky sweater. I wish I had a magnifying glass.
Nancy Drew Mysteries. The case of the stinky sweater.
Oh man.
Oh.
I do wish I had a magnifying glass. It's the case of the stinky sweater. At first, I tried to make innocuous comments to him. Do you smell something musty, etc.? That's not going to work. This is like me and my coworker when we have the heater in our office, like right behind us. It's me and my coworker, and I hate the heat. I'm a big old Billy boy, and anytime things start to get hot, I like the cold. I like cold air. I like to have a fan at my desk, even when it's cold outside.
And so you try to give people like subtle hints.
I'll be like, man, is it getting hot in here? And of course, he's always like, no, I'm freezing. And I just boil with fucking rage at that answer. I'm like, but it's not freezing. It's hot. I just let all of the rage inside. But
Anybody else just sweating buckets?
anyway. They tried making innocuous comments to him. Do you smell something musty? But he didn't catch on. So last week I said to him, hey, that sweater's starting to give off a stench. Could you take it home and wash it? He replied, nah, that's not my sweater, and walked away, which effectively ended the conversation. After he left one night, I went to his desk and smelled the sweater and confirmed that nasty stank. And it was so putrid up close, I have no idea how he lives like this. So I took the sweater on my way out and threw it in a dumpster out back. The next day, he was looking around for it and asking everyone if they had seen it. I just shrugged and said, nah, haven't seen it today, which was technically not a lie. But wait, he said that's not my sweater.
No, I think he's meaning like,
Oh, he says clarification. When he said that's not my sweater, he was referring to the stink not being his sweater.
Yeah.
The sweater was, in fact, his.
like it's like one of those like, not my president. Your sweater is stinky, not my sweater.
Wow. I feel kind of bad, but I can't live like that. We work in a 7-person office with no HR, and our boss is not effective at dealing with issues. So I felt like this was my only option. Am I the asshole? Well, is he the asshole? I mean, we'll read some more of these things here, but
Well, I don't think it's particularly kind to throw away somebody else's property.
Mhm.
And I kind of wonder, like, there is another option, and it's this person just could have taken the sweater home and washed it and brought it back.
Well, and you
I
could
don't
have
know.
asked that person to do so, right? You could have asked that person, like, yes, it's absolutely your sweater that's stinking. It smells really bad. Can you please take it home and wash it? And then if they say no, you can always go to the boss. Even though you said your boss is not effective at dealing with issues, you haven't asked.
Yeah.
So, but before you go throwing away somebody else's property, yeah.
I also think, here's another thing. Can of Febreze, spray that puppy down, put some of those dryer sheets in the sweater pockets, and then get like some car fresheners and just like
They come back and their sweater is a Christmas tree of car fresheners.
yeah.
Um,
They would get the hint.
I
feel like there's other alternatives to just throwing it away. Or if you're going to throw it away, well, I don't know. I would feel very guilty about throwing out something that somebody else spent their money on,
Yeah.
I presume.
I feel very uncomfortable throwing out somebody else's property or even touching somebody else's property.
That would make me really uncomfortable. If I did that, I would I threw it out and I bought you a new one.
Yeah. Yeah. Even then is like,
I mean, that's crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy to do.
Yeah. Taking the initiative with anybody else's property without asking their permission kind of makes you the asshole on by default, I guess. But at the same time, you have to bring up that it's smelly to the guy. You can't like this sounds a lot like, well, I tried to like vaguely bring it up to him and he, didn't take the hint. It's like, well, you expected him to read your mind. Like, no, you can't just vaguely bring it up. You have to actually say, hey, dude, your sweater smells really bad.
No, not my sweater. My sweater smells like roses, dude.
And in that situation, I'm sorry.
In this situation, you should not follow any of the advice that was given in the previous article. You should try and win.
No, I mean, in this situation, I'm sorry. You kind of have to be the asshole who says, no, that is your sweater. It smells real bad.
Prove it.
They're like, no, not my sweater. Prove it, bitch.
Prove it.
Smell off. Everyone line up for a smell off.
We have a blind sweater smell off. The stinky sweater on one side, a control sweater on the other. We had each of our employees sniff it, and it's a blind sniff test, so they're blindfolded, so they can't tell. They sniff it, and then they have to mark down, is it sweater 1 or sweater 2 that's stinky?
Wow, I guess a lot of people have given the advice that we've been given here. So he says he went to edit it after getting some responses. Says, I see a lot of people suggesting that I had other options, and the ideas being brought up are frankly asinine. I wish his first name. It's frankly asinine for you to think that I should tell the guy his sweater is actually stinky. No, he says, somebody said, just spray some Febreze and call it a day. That was your advice. He goes,
no, I didn't say just spray Febreze. I said Febreze, dryer sheets in the pockets, and bunch of car fresheners all taped to the sweater.
He's he says, have you ever sprayed Febreze in a bathroom where somebody took a dump? Then you know it just combines with the shit smell and almost gives it a sort of power up. Next.
You're buying cheap Febreze then.
Yeah, definitely.
You're getting the off-brand Febreze.
I hate when people write these things and like tell me what I know. Then you know that Febreze just mixes with the shit and it makes it a strong shit smell. No, I don't know that.
Okay, I got a solution. Poopery.
Also, now I'm starting to think, does the sweater smell like poo-poo? Because that's a whole other concern. Like, just stinky like B.O.
He does take a dump in his sweater every day.
And then he goes, not my sweater.
No, that's my toilet. It's not my sweater.
It's just that SNL sketch where he poops in all of his office items. And they're like, why does your office smell like shit? Tell HR about it. Some people have trouble reading, it seems. I already said it's a small office with no HR, and our boss is incapable or unwilling to address situations like this. I did, in fact, bring it up to him, and he said to find a compromise, such as allowing him to wear the sweater 3 days a week. Not a problem solver, this guy. Wow, his boss literally took the Michael Scott from The Office. He's like, I've seen one episode of The Office where they compromised, so let him wear the smelly sweater 3 days a week.
And you'll wear a nose plug on those days.
That's crazy. Take it home and wash it for him. I don't think this one even warrants a response. I suppose I should ask the rest of the office if they have any laundry for me to take home so I can do it all at once.
Yeah, but you care about
You know what? I'm sorry.
It's because you care.
No.
Like if you care that much about the thing, then just, take care of it.
No. You know what? I fucking don't like this guy's attitude, and he is the asshole. I hope the sweater smelled bad, and he had to smell it every day. I hope the guy gets his sweater out of the dumpster where it smells worse, brings it back to the office, and sits it there. Because this guy's fucking attitude pisses me off. And so I suppose I should just ask the rest of the office if they have any laundry for me. Dude, don't go to the internet to ask for answers if you don't like any of the answers. Fix your attitude, bitch! That's right. I'm going to start fights with these people.
Yeah.
I'd like
you
to.
Tell them.
I'd like to start podcast fights.
You know what? Working Crass.
I can kick your ass.
You know what? Working Crass has a lot of laundry. You need to get your ass over here and do it for us.
If you ever watch our podcast, Working Crass Podcast with Josh and Lauren, user equivalent-food-2522, I'll fuck you up. Find me. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I'll give you something to smell every day.
We got a lot of stinky sweaters on this podcast, and we will use them.
I got a smelly ass foot, and it's going right up your ass. I'd like to smell some of your clothes and see how fresh they smell.
Yeah. What makes you think your sweater don't stink?
Yeah, this guy thinks his sweater don't stink. You think your sweater don't stink?
Let me just tell you.
Oh, you think your shit don't stink?
Honestly, that's how you resolve Thanksgiving conflict and this office conflict. Just get into a big yo mama match.
Oh, you think your mama don't stink? He says, I see many people bringing up the legality of this and the police being called or this going to court. May I remind everyone that we're talking about a sweater? I'd love to hear how that... Stop using sarcasm with me. The sarcasm is our thing. That's our thing on our podcast. I fucking hate this guy's attitude. May I remind everyone... Don't get fucking snarky with the people trying to help you out. I'm just saying, if you go to the internet to try to find some advice for something and ask them, am I the asshole? Don't be the fucking asshole about it. I'm sorry.
Look,
this guy has me mad.
Look, dude, we called you out. We said you were an asshole, and you just couldn't take the heat. You couldn't take it.
Couldn't take the heat. Couldn't take the stink.
Yes, and you didn't want the answer that you got.
Yep. That's true. This happens a lot on Am I the Asshole? People will be like, yeah, you are the asshole. It's
no,
like,
I'm
excuse me?
I came here to find out if I was the asshole, and I know I'm not the asshole. Well, then if you already know, why'd you bother asking? You don't want people's opinion. You just want them to validate what you already think.
I'd love to hear how that 911 call goes. Officer, I need to report a missing sweater. Please send your forensics team out ASAP and track this lunatic down before the sweater thief strikes again. It's just someone who like knows that they've committed a crime and now they're being snarky about it.
We gotta.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Call the cops because they killed your stinky son?
We got a 314. That's a stinky sweater situation.
Or God forbid I get taken to sweater court. I hope the Honorable Judge Cardigan takes pity on me and offers a reduced sentence. Dude, if you want to be funny, start a podcast. But this isn't the place, dude. Get real, people. We're talking about office squabbles, not Grand Theft Sweater. Jesus. This person is an asshole. I'm sorry. That's my vote. They're an asshole.
I'm starting to think that sweater didn't even stink.
I do too.
After all this, I'm like, I bet it wasn't even stinky.
I bet that sweater didn't even stink.
I bet that sweater smelled like sweet, sweet sugar.
Oh, man. The top comment, you're the asshole. They quote him saying, I felt like this was my only option. Answer, how? How was this your only option? Here's several options. Tell your boss that the two of you tried to reach a compromise, but coworker refuses to admit his sweater smells and you need the boss to get involved. Ask your boss to mediate a discussion between you and your coworker so you can find the compromise that the boss wants. Bag up the sweater so you don't have to smell it and hand it off to the coworker. Tell him you had to contain the smell for health reasons. Bag up the sweater and hand it to the boss man. Tell him that the coworker refuses to take it home and you cannot handle the smell anymore, as it is a health issue. Take the sweater home and wash it. No, you're not obligated to wash anyone's clothes. You also weren't obligated to touch the sweater at all or to clean up the office, yet you felt justified grabbing the sweater and throwing it away. And as someone mentioned, take the sweater to a cleaner's to have it cleaned. The sweater didn't ever have to come into your home. You know what? If you're Swirly Flurry on Instagram, I'll buy you a drink.
Reddit.
I'm sorry, on Reddit. I'll buy you a drink if you're ever in Chicago. We will not fight.
Well, we don't know how old Swirly Flurly is.
I'll buy Swirly Flurly any drink that they want. Any drink, and I don't care. If you just want a pop, it just want a sody pop.
A Shirley Temple.
For my rankles.
Swirly Fury.
Swirly Fury.
Furry. Swirly Furry. Swirly Fury.
No,
Flurry.
Swirly Flurry.
Swirly Flurry. Man, that is a hard name to say.
Yes, but, they are an asshole aficionado. And had some great advice. Very, very good advice.
They did.
So.
They did.
Wow. Totally the asshole in that situation.
100%.
I will say this podcast has been very loud looking over at the waveforms. So, but I'll turn it down and edit. But if I end up not turning it down, or if something goes wrong and you're listening to this on, on your beautiful Thanksgiving day and it's a little too loud, turn the volume down. Or I'm sorry. I think it's okay though. I'll fix it. Thank you so much for listening to Working Crass Podcast. This is something that we do once a week, every single Monday. You can rely on us to be your podcast every single Monday and bring you some laughs.
Think of us like a warm, stinky sweater.
We're always going to be there unless you bag us up
and put us in the dumpster.
Please don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. That's the best way to support us. YouTube finally has tags, so we are at Working Crass Pod on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Makes it really, really easy to find us. Go find us, give us a subscription, and hit the notification bell so that way we can grow this thing. We've been doing it. This is our 32nd episode. And I'm just trying to think of ways for us to grow our viewer base. You might have to start showing your coochie on these things. Would you be comfortable just showing your coochie on this thing?
A coochie cast?
A coochie cast. I mean, here's the thing. There's these Twitch streamers, they're showing their tits. They're in a hot tub while they're playing video games. They're shaking their titties around. And, they don't ever show nipples or vulva. But would you be willing to show nipples or vulva? Or?
If it means that we win, then yeah. Kidding.
Look, I'll dangle some dong. If I have to dangle dong, I'll dangle dong. And if it gets us views, okay, that's all I'm saying. Now, it might get us taken off YouTube, but we just want to get in front of more eyes. We want to make more people laugh. And if we have to show our pee-pees and our poo-poos to do that, so be it.
They will make you laugh.
You're going to laugh at my little dangle, and it'll be great. At Working Crass Pod on YouTube. All right. You found this great website with a bunch of articles that we're going to have to start looking at, yourtango.com.
Yeah.
And you've confirmed for me this isn't satire. These are all real.
No,
This is shitty articles?
It appears to be real. It appears to be a site that kind of caters towards like articles about self-help kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They do a lot of like lists about like ways to improve your relationship and things like that. And they just have a plethora of things where I saw the title and was like, yep, I gotta send this to Josh.
Well, this looks like a great one. My therapist slut-shamed me. With the picture of the woman holding her pillow like she's
hugging her pillow like she's been through a great trauma.
Yeah. Your therapist slut-shamed you, and that's like equivalent to sexual assault. Like,
it's like
she literally looks like she was abused.
It's the equivalent of like the aftermath of drone bombing a Pakistani civilian family. She's seen some shit.
She goes, I could feel the anger rising in me. I knew what had happened was inappropriate, but I'd been so stunned that I couldn't feel much before that moment. But as I read the text from one of my best friends after I'd recounted the experience to her, my shock turned from numbness to outrage. My therapist had slut-shamed me.
Dun, dun, dun.
She says, let's rewind. It had taken me years to enter therapy. I suffered from severe anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder after an abusive relationship and sexual assaults.
I feel like this article would do really well with some sound effects. Like I feel like a soundtrack playing in my head as we're reading this.
Really? I mean, you hear I suffered from sexual assault and you hear boing.
No, mostly yeah, totally.
Aruga!
No, like my therapist had slut shamed me, and then you hear the suspense, like little score, and then let's rewind, and you hear the little like record scratch, and then and this part where they're like recounting. This is obviously like a montage scene set to like some like 60s or 50s a happy doo-wop song. Right? Now you're getting the picture.
Yeah. If we become one of those like morning zoo radio talk shows, we'll introduce. Maybe we could get Byron back on the podcast and he could be our soundboard operator. Aruga. Here's the thing, Byron. Anytime someone talks about being sexually assaulted, we want you to play a goofy sound.
I'm sorry to derail the story. Continue.
Now, this person says, I suffered from severe anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder after an abusive relationship and sexual assaults. How many, and I'm not saying that this person falls under what I'm about to describe here, but how many people our age do you know that have self-diagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder, as if they went to war and had to kill little Vietnamese children? People who have real post-traumatic stress disorder compared to I had a boyfriend who yelled at me once, and now I have PTSD.
I had a boyfriend. He yelled at me once. It was like I was stuck in the killing fields of Cambodia.
It's crazy. If you have a friend out there that tells you that they were in an abusive relationship and refer to their ex as their abuser, I challenge you to just ask a simple question. What did they do? And then get ready for the hilarious answer that you get. Maybe you'll get an answer that's not hilarious at all. And if that's the case, that's very sad.
Yeah,
but I've noticed 80% of the time, the answer that you're going to get is, he was just abusive. And then you dig a little deeper. And there was just an episode, that he had one day where he yelled at me, and it really just hit me the wrong way.
Yeah. I don't know if it's 80%, but there are an awful lot.
You're right, 85%.
But there are an awful lot of people who will they try and categorize the experience that they have to be on the same level of severity as something that is very serious, like domestic abuse. And I think it does a disservice to the people who have actually gone through that horrific, horrendous experience.
Yes,
And
the
it, and it
15% of people that have gone through that
yeah,
horrendous
and it
experience.
causes people not to take them seriously.
Absolutely.
And it's harder for them to get the resources that they need.
Yeah. And it's awful for that 10% of people that it really it's really bad for that 5% of people that have really been abused. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. There's a lot. It might not be 80, 85%, you know. It might be 95.
I actually think domestic abuse is more common than we probably think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely a lot of people who again are claiming to have gone through something on the same level of severity when in fact it's a big nothing burger.
Yeah. And if you're trying to determine whether or not we're being sarcastic, that was sarcasm. For various reasons, I thought I could manage it well enough on my own. I was good at asking myself the hard questions, uncovering the deepest truths at the core of my issues, and challenging growth within myself. I knew what therapy was about, and I was doing a fine job of providing it to myself, or so I thought. Here, will you take over here? Because I can't breathe. I need some water real quick.
At some point, it came to my attention that the issues I thought I'd so diligently and thoroughly worked through weren't resolved, or they had become unresolved, or something. My ability to manage had depleted. I started having panic attacks, intense anxiety, and flashbacks. Unexpected things would trigger me, and I would cry so hard I couldn't talk or breathe normally.
My body was under so much stress that it was affecting my health and my normal life. It became clear that I needed some outside help. At my doctor's urging, I made an appointment with a therapist. The first session was nothing unusual. We talked about why I was there, my history, and the things I wanted to work on. She seemed to misunderstand a few things, but I figured there'd be plenty of time for clarification. At the end of the hour, I walked away feeling a little raw, but mostly indifferent. A little raw.
Well, I know. I was like, that's an interesting choice of adjective.
At the end of the hour, my therapist had pounded me raw, but I still wasn't a slut in her eyes yet. I let her pound my holes raw, but I still felt indifferent. Our next session was a few weeks later. I'd recently stopped seeing someone who meant a lot to me. That relationship had gotten convoluted and confusing. But there was a lot of good that made walking away especially difficult. I was reeling and horribly sad. My instinct was not to talk to the therapist about it, but I suppose that meant I should definitely talk to her about it. So I did. Bad move. As I began to give her the Cliff Notes version of my relationship with this guy, instead of asking me questions, she very quickly started jumping in with incorrect judgments about his character. I had a lot of love for the man and started feeling defensive. As I tried to clarify some things, the therapist interrupted. Was this a sexual relationship?
Well, I think that's a fair question for your therapist to ask. She needs to know the details.
Right.
What?
And then we don't know the details, right? It's like she quickly jumped in with incorrect judgments about his character. And she's like, I gave the Cliff Notes version of my relationship with this guy. I won't give it to you because it's irrelevant in this story. You know?
So you gave your therapist like an abridged version of things, and she's trying to piece it together so that she can understand. So she's having to ask you questions, and then because you've given her so little to work with, she's made a few assumptions, and and this is where we're at.
I stared at her for a second. We've been dating for 6 months. Neither of us is religious. We're adults. Of course it was sexual. Yeah, she says. Well, if you have sex with men who don't love you, you will always be a do-for-now girl. I was dumbfounded. I would be what? She went on, saying, from now on, you shouldn't be having sex with someone unless you're in a committed long-term relationship with the goal of marriage.
Now, again, this is out of context, so we don't know if this therapist gave her this advice based on like how this person's behavior has manifested in previous relationships beforehand, right? If this has become a pattern of you're constantly getting into uncommitted relationships, you have sex with people really early on, and then you get attached and then heartbroken, and you're constantly in this cycle of heartbreak because of this, then your therapist probably is giving you advice that clearly your internal psychology is not responding well to that. You might be better served if you're only having sex in a committed relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But that's being taken out of context here to make it seem like this person's a Looney Tune, like, ooh, sex out of wedlock, ooh, naughty, naughty.
Bad. And apparently the therapist says, well, you can't expect a man to respect you or be faithful to you if you don't get married. If you're just going to date and have sex for entertainment, then be prepared to date raunchy guys who don't really care about you. You're going to end up getting your heart broken over and over, and it's not going to help you get better. Now, yeah, kind of like you're saying, like, we don't have the full context of this. If this is like a repetitive behavior from this girl and she's, frequently, getting into these one night stand types of relationships where she's just having, simply sex and then wonders like, what's going on? Why am I depressed? Why don't I have any meaningful relationships in my life? Then yeah, you could probably point to those like, meaningless sexual encounters and go, yeah, a lot of that isn't going to lead to anything good. It fills your needs for one night, but it's not going to lead to anything long term that can actually help you feel good about yourself. Now, that being said, I don't know. Some of this is a little, some of it is a little slut shaming, I will say. It's like you can't expect a man to respect you or be faithful to you if you don't want to get married. It's like, well, what if you just want to date? You can't expect somebody that you're dating to be, to be faithful to you and, to respect you. You can't expect a man to respect you if you're not married to him. Then he's allowed to just spit all over you. It's like, it doesn't make sense. No, you can't expect a man to like have respect for you.
Yes.
In just a relationship.
Yeah.
Even in like a hookup relationship.
Oh yeah.
You can't expect
you
can expect anybody to have respect for you.
That should be a priority.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they're not being respectful to you, don't jump in the sack with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. From there, she spun off onto an unprompted lecture about sex outside of marriage. And this is another thing. Is like, I don't know. I mean, you can have sex outside of marriage. It's not a big deal. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, this you should really listen to this therapist who's like, don't have sex outside of marriage. It's like, here's another question. Did you go to like a Christian therapist? Did you go to a therapist? Was this at a church?
Was your therapist Ben Shapiro?
Well, here's the problem right away.
Yeah, some of this is a little like, it seems that way. But again, I don't know how much of this is taken out of context. I don't know how much of this is like, this person's like, they're creating the quotes, they're not the exact
but I found
quotes.
another hint here, another clue for the mystery. She says, she knew I was traumatized from long-term emotional and sexual abuse. She knew that casual sex had been the key to whatever healing I'd managed to already do.
Well, maybe it wasn't healing you.
Yeah, exactly. You think casual sex is the key to whatever healing you'd already managed to do. That points to there's something you haven't written yet in this story that this therapist is reacting to, right? Because casual, just hookup sex is not a key to healing by any measure whatsoever. I mean, it can be fun, but it's also not a key to like healing yourself. That is something that is a temporary Band-Aid that gives you a rash.
Yeah, and it could be that
an itchy rash that sometimes doesn't go away. And now it could be fun getting the rash.
Yeah, it could be that the therapist is giving this person some hard truths, where it's like,
and she's like, yeah, and she's
it's
taking
stuff
it
that
as
you
like
don't want to hear, and you don't want to hear it because when you're in the headspace that gets you into that cycle of like depression, anxiety, etc., you have a lot of like false voices going on in your head, and you sometimes like, I don't know, you come to false conclusions about yourself and your feelings and all of these other things, and the therapist here might be giving you the hard truth that is uncomfortable to hear, but it may be the thing that you actually need.
But Lauren, if the therapist is giving me a truth that I don't want to hear, then how do I win? See, here's the thing about that you should know about like going and seeing a therapist is like either the therapist wins or I win, okay?
Here's the thing you need to know about my therapist. She has a really stinky sweater.
She smells like shit.
She
never lets me win.
I get mixed vibes from this. I get some of the quotes from the therapist, definitely cringe. I don't know if they're what I would necessarily say to this person. But then I also am like, I'm not in that therapy session, so it's hard to know for sure if those are the actual quotes, if everything is just mishmashed out of context and this person is overreacting to hearing an uncomfortable truth.
I guess this girl called the therapist's office and asked to speak with whoever was in charge of the practice. As I explained to them what happened, expressed my disgust and disbelief, and as they apologized profusely and agreed with me that she was out of line, I felt a wave of pride wash over me because I had won. Because I win.
Look, I don't go to therapy for my therapist to give me her advice about what I should do. I go to my therapist so she can tell me I'm always right. And everything I do is the correct thing. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence.
I'm torn.
Yeah, I'm
torn.
on the fence here because some of what she says the therapist said
is a little cringe.
It's a little like conservative Christian kind of like traditional values, which I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But as a therapist, you have to be open to anybody's lifestyle. You know, I don't know. I can't say that. You can't be open to any lifestyle because if the lifestyle is hurting the person, you believe that the lifestyle is hurting that person, then you do have to be honest about it. But at the same time, you can't tell people that they can't have sex outside of marriage. And I don't know how much sex outside of marriage actually is attributing to this girl's anxiety and depression and PTSD, unless that is how she's, covering up all of her emotions is constant casual sex, which there's a couple sentences in here that kind of lead to that assumption. Yeah. And if that's the case, then she's giving good advice. But I don't know.
Yeah. I'm torn. I feel like
it feels like there's two extremes.
Yeah.
And the answer's somewhere in the middle.
Yes. I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a more diplomatic way to have this conversation with the patient than perhaps the way the therapist had presented.
Yep.
Had presented it. But yeah.
She goes, I spoke up in case of someone in a more vulnerable place than I was hearing the same crap. And then I found a new therapist, one who actually knows how to do their job.
And she has an OnlyFans, so I know she's a skank just like me. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Or am I?
Or is she? You figure out. Are we being sarcastic or do we mean it? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It would be hard to know without actually knowing these people. I mean, I would like to meet this woman and get to know her if she's a slut. But
but also at the same time, I'll say this.
What, did you just blow past what I said?
It took me a minute, and then I realized what you said.
I like to meet the therapist too, if you know what I mean.
If you have any other numbers, put them down in the comments below. I lost my train of thought, so it's all good.
Well, we've gone for a little bit, and I have to put out this episode tonight, so we should probably wrap this up now.
Can we do one more?
Okay, but I have to edit this tonight. All right, then this last one has to go quickly, and Lauren really wants to do this one, so.
I saw the title, and it made me laugh, and I really wanted to read what it was about.
This better be worth it. You gotta sit up. You're a midget in this video.
I'm sorry. I'm
There
sorry.
you go. There
Well,
you go.
I am in
You
real life,
start the
too.
episode up at the top, and you end the episode down in the bottom corner.
I like to hunker down when I'm reading my stories.
For those watching the video, if you ever notice,
I shrink halfway through.
not only does she shrink, but I try to, in the video, I put the article that we're reading, but your face goes so far down, I have to shrink the article to fit on the screen because I don't want to cover your poor face. But here's how we fix the problem. From now on, no matter how far you shrink down, I just start covering your face. With the articles we're reading. If we're reading something and you shrink down, your face is getting covered. And then you just have to learn how to sit up.
Hey, everybody wins.
All right, here we go. Am I the asshole for being mildly annoyed at my girlfriend for using one of my eggs? I eat the same breakfast every workday, 6 fried eggs and an orange. Yes, I know this is a lot of food for most people, but I weigh 300 pounds, and I need to be sure I don't get hungry before lunch.
Okay, we just need to acknowledge here that 6 eggs is a ridiculous amount of eggs.
6 fried eggs and an orange to be healthy. I weigh 300 pounds. I need to make sure I don't get hungry. Trust me, you're not going hungry. They could lock you in a room for months and you'll have enough poundage to feast on for a while.
You can hibernate for all of winter. You'll be good to go.
Your body is good to go.
But that is an absurd amount of eggs. I'm sorry.
My girlfriend is well aware of this.
Like, what happens if you only eat 5? 4? That's still a lot of eggs.
I think we're about to find out, okay? First of all, it's not enough. He's hungry. He weighs 300 pounds.
What happens if he becomes hungry? Is he like the Hulk? Is this like the worst case of hanger that anybody has ever seen?
I need 6 eggs. My girlfriend is well aware of this. She doesn't like eggs and never eats them. So it works out perfectly because each week when we go grocery shopping, I buy a 30-pack of eggs, which lasts exactly the week. 6 eggs times 5 days equals 30.
Thank you for doing the math for those of us that are stupid.
At least the 300-pound man is meal planning. He learned that I have to learn how to meal plan because I'm overweight. So
I'm sorry.
Meal number 1, 6 eggs. For lunch I'll have 4 sandwiches.
I'm
And for
sorry.
dinner I'll have 8 pizzas.
I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter what size you are, but 6 eggs is too many eggs. It's too many.
I need 6 eggs so I fart the right amount. Don't you understand?
Well, then I have a solution for you. You need to dump your girlfriend and start dating a chicken. You need to turn into Gonzo from the Muppets.
I work Thursday to Monday every week. This past Sunday evening, when I had 6 eggs left in the carton for Monday morning, I was in the shower and came out to discover that my girlfriend had used one of my eggs to make a cake.
How dare she? How dare she?
Only 1 cake. I need 4 cakes. I wasn't really upset with her, but I was mildly annoyed because she knows full well that I was planning to eat it for breakfast the next day, and it was too late to go back out to get more eggs. I asked her to please let me know next time we're at the grocery store she plans to need an egg that week so we could buy extra. She said I'm being ridiculous, that it's just 1 egg, and that she shouldn't have to plan
It's
everything ahead like that.
Late to go and get eggs. You know that after 7 p.m. the stores stop putting out the eggs. The eggs disappear when the clock strikes 7 o'clock.
It's not the egg, it's the principle. I need 6 eggs a day. This guy can't go with 5 eggs at work. Again, I want to emphasize that I'm not actually mad at her, just mildly annoyed, but she seems to think that even that's an overreaction. Am I the asshole? Oh my God.
Are you the asshole?
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, let's see what the comments say here. Well, first, this thread is now locked due to an excess of rule violations and rampant report abuse. You're the asshole. She used 1 egg. Your weight isn't an excuse to eat like that. I weighed 292 pounds. At my heaviest, I was 307. That's a ridiculous amount of eggs to eat.
This person said exactly what I said. Exactly.
I weigh 300 pounds. I need more. This doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
I weigh 300 pounds. I need more food than most people.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. Perhaps it's because you're eating 6 eggs every day that you haven't lost any weight. I don't know. Try eating 1 less egg a day and see what that does.
It's crazy.
Also, he's like,
what about 5 eggs and 2 oranges?
Also, he's like, so I don't get hungry before lunch. Pack a banana, pack a granola bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, get a snack.
I don't understand.
Yeah. What don't you understand? He's 300 pounds and he needs 6 fried eggs and an orange. What's so hard to understand?
It's the only
You're just
thing
like
that-
his. You're
It's
just like
the
his.
only thing that keeps me satiated.
You're just like his fucking girlfriend. Okay. You're like, oh, he's ridiculous. It's just 1 egg, Lauren. He needs 6 eggs. What don't you get about this? He ordered. They go to the grocery store, okay?
Okay.
Maybe you're not understanding. They go to the
I'm
grocery
not.
store. They buy a 30-pack of eggs, okay?
Oh my
That's
God,
6
that's
eggs.
so many eggs. That is so many eggs.
Lauren, it lasts exactly the week. That's 30. That's 30 total eggs. That's 6 eggs times 5 days equals 30 eggs. That's enough for the week.
No, that's
She's
that's
thrown
enough.
off-
That should last you at least a month.
Here's the problem. The problem isn't that this guy is overweight or anything like that. This guy has OCD. 100%. She took the eggs from 6 a day to 5, and he went over to the light switch and said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and turned on the stove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then he went over to his eggs and he says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? This guy has OCD.
And then he just started throwing things, and he started like shitting in his hand and throwing shit, kind of like a little monkey.
Not a little monkey. It was a 300-pound ape. Oh man. Anyway, that was great. I'm glad we read that one.
I told you that. I saw the headline on that, and I was like, "Oh my God, yes."
That's funny. What did you learn today?
Ate my eggs. That 6 eggs is too many goddamn eggs.
And I learned the opposite. 6 eggs is just enough. 5 eggs isn't enough.
And you know what? We're gonna fight about this Thanksgiving.
There will be a winner, and the winner will come out victorious, and the loser's going in the chokey.
chokey.
That's right, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Except for that dude that threw away his coworker's sweater that was an asshole. Equivalent-food-2522.
We hope your Thanksgiving is very smelly.
Fuck you and fuck your Thanksgiving. All right, goodbye.
Bye.